Sometimes an apology isn't enough. Which might sound harsh, but here's what I mean. At some point or another, you have trusted someone. You might have trusted them with your secrets, your heart, finances, your children, or some part of your future. But somewhere along the way, they broke your trust. The first time it happened, it hurt, but they said they were sorry, and you love having them in your life or feel as though you need to have them in your life, so you accepted their apology and you moved on. The second time it happened, it stung. Not only because they again did something they were not supposed to do, but because you chose to believe that they wouldn't do it again. The person apologized profusely, they groveled, maybe they even shed some tears, and you ultimately decided, okay, I'm going to keep them around. I'm going to give them another chance. Time passed, maybe a lot of time passed without issues, but eventually they did it again. And the apology cycle continued. The fact of the matter is, apologies do not erase patterns. If someone lets us down, that's upsetting, but typically when they apologize, we accept their apology and we move forward. But when someone continually disappoints us, not only is it exhausting, but it is emotionally and mentally depleting. And then over time, the person's blatant disregard for our feelings creates resentment and anger in our hearts, and this emotional cut that never fully heals. And let's say that enough time passes that you are able to heal. If you're dealing with someone who has a reputation for not honoring their apology, it is only a matter of time before they wound you again. And your thought could be, well, that's a negative way of looking at things. People can change. And my response to that is, yeah, people can change. But I'm talking about people who continue to show you that they won't. So my perspective isn't negative, it's pattern recognition. I'm sorry, does it again. Me sorry, continues to do it, makes it clear where you fall on their list of priorities. And that is, they do not care enough. They might care, just not enough, about how they're affecting you. An apology means nothing without changed behavior. I've been on both sides of this situation. I've been the person who was hurt, and I've been the person who said I was sorry with no intention of changing my behavior. So there's no sanctimony here. We're going to talk about why people even bother apologizing if they have no intention of changing their behavior. How we bear some responsibility in this apology cycle, and what we can do to protect ourselves from the people that continue to disappoint us. So why would someone apologize and promise over and over again that they're never going to do the thing again if they're not going to change? If we're honest, I think we all know that saying you're sorry is a quick fix. Sometimes we apologize solely to get other people off our backs. There are plenty of people who are overhearing the hurt person talk about why they're hurt and desperately want relief from tension and conflict. And saying sorry is a pretty effective way of achieving that. Voicing an apology also makes the person who hurt you feel better. It brings them a sense of relief from guilt, as if they no longer feel the need to deal with the consequences of their actions because they said, I'm sorry. Furthermore, it's easier just to say, I'm sorry, than to make any real corrections to your behavior. Transformation requires real effort, and a lot of people don't want to be bothered with that because depending on the person they would need to change for, that's too much work. That's the crux of the issue with the people some of you continue to trust that have failed you countless times. They do not, listen please, because seriously, some of you, I say this with love, need to wake up. They do not care enough to change, regardless of what they tell you. Maybe after their fake apology, they did something really nice for you that made you feel super special and loved, or they've been really sweet lately. Behaviors like those are the easy way out, and they are temporary. In the long run, they mean nothing. Could be a thoughtful gift, an abundance of attention or kindness, or putting a stop to the hurtful behavior just until things cool down a bit. Presenting a false sense of improvement through empty gestures is much, much easier than doing the real work of nipping that despicable behavior in the bud. Real change requires becoming conscious of patterns and self-discipline to not repeat the same patterns. And for a lot of people, that's not a sacrifice they're willing to make. However, if someone truly respects you and cares about you, they will put forth the effort. And you'll be able to see it clearly through their actions, not just their words. And they'll keep working on it. It won't be a one and done thing. I'll give you an easy example because there's an infinite list of BS that's being put up with that shouldn't. Some of you might be getting stolen from. Your generosity is being taken advantage of. You need to break up with and block that man and never look back. The list goes on. But for the sake of time, we'll use the example of the blabbermouth. This is the person, could be a friend, could be a family member, could be a coworker, could be anyone. They refuse to keep their mouths shut. You tell them something in confidence, they assure you it won't be repeated, and at some point they repeat what they told you they wouldn't. So you call them out on it. They say, oh, it slipped out, or I didn't think it was that big of a deal. And maybe what you told them wasn't that big of a deal. But the point is that they said that they weren't going to do something, and they did it anyway. Simply saying sorry doesn't cut it. With the exception of something life-threatening or dangerous, it is not up to another person to decide whether they think your secret is worthy of being kept or not. Whoever can be trusted with little can be trusted with much. So if someone can't even be trusted with the small things, what purpose are they serving in your life? A person who respects you and values being around you will honor your wishes even if they don't understand them. We're all imperfect. Being disappointed or disappointing someone is bound to happen. What I'm referring to here is chronic behavior. Think lying, snakes in the grass that you call friends that can't even be trusted to keep your secrets, stealing, cheating, dishonoring marriage vows, cheating boyfriends, emotional, psychological, and or physical abuse. If someone has done something along the lines of any of the things I just named more than once, they will do it again. Some of you are playing with fire. In your friendships, in your relationships, your peace of mind and emotional well-being is at risk. And depending on how deep you're in something, your safety is at risk. Unfortunately, there's so many things in this life that we cannot control, but protecting our hearts and our minds from those that continue to disappoint us is something that we can control. To an extent, I can understand the desire to accept an apology from someone who says that they are going to change, because it helps us to cope with the reality of their transgressions. But lying to ourselves is one of the most dangerous positions we can put ourselves in, so we have to face the facts. If you choose to keep someone in your life that you know is not to be trusted, that is your right, but the consequences of that decision are on you. You are in charge of your own heart, no one else. So if someone is hurting you, changes need to be made and you bear that responsibility. I know there are people that are going through unimaginable situations. I won't pretend to know or understand everything everyone is going through. You could live in the same home as the person who's inflicting pain that you can't trust. There might be someone that you can't escape due to finances or other limiting circumstances, responsibilities. There are tons of different reasons why people are, for lack of a better word, stuck in their situation, at least for the time being. Everyone's going through something different. So even if you cannot physically leave your situation at this time, you can emotionally cut ties. That doesn't mean that you need to start giving the silent treatment or making it painfully obvious that you have mentally cut this person out of your life. But it is time to start getting robotic. Stop sharing your dreams, your highs, your achievements, your lows with this person. If you are forced to be in the same vicinity as a person who's not worthy of your time, energy, or trust, revoke access to your heart and start making all of your interactions about them. Here's an example. If someone comes up to you and says, "Hey Sue, how's that thing in your life that I'll ultimately end up using against you?" Or, "Sue, what's going on with that super exciting thing that might happen for you? And if it does work out for you, I'll find a way to somehow ruin it." Your response needs to be vague. Going well, thank you, no updates, or, "Oh, same old, nothing new to report." And quickly follow up with a question about them, because what we're trying to do is redirect the conversation. "Oh, how is whatever?" You're going to keep the conversation focused on them, and then you're going to get out of there as soon as you possibly can, because we are no longer sharing things with people, our hearts, minds, spirits, souls, who continue to screw us over in their own special way. This is for situations in which you've already opened your mouth and shared information with the wrong person, and they're asking for an update. But the best course of action is to not share anything with anyone who've proven they are not to be trusted in the first place. As for those of you who are not limited, what do you do if there's someone in your life that keeps apologizing but doesn't back it up with transformation? You're looking at 3 steps. Acknowledge the pattern, admit the truth, even if it's painful, and modify your access accordingly. You're recognizing that the same things keep happening over and over again, even though you've been assured that they won't, and the person keeps saying they're sorry. You're finally admitting to yourself, "I'm being played." And that's a big pill to swallow, but for the sake of your well-being, you can handle it. And then you're going to set boundaries. When presented with a "I'm sorry" again for the umpteenth time, the ball is now in your court. Verbally, you can accept the apology if that's what makes you feel the most comfortable in the moment, but your actions need to be, "No, you don't get to be in my life anymore. I will no longer trust you with anything, big or small, because I know you will disappoint me again." Eliminate contact entirely. And if for some valid reason contact can't be fully removed, it needs to be limited to the least amount of interaction as possible. I'm not saying that any of this is easy, particularly if you love someone or have a special attachment to them. But if they have shown you who they are, and it is within your power to distance yourself from them, it might be time to start looking at your friendships and relationships and deciding if you need to rip off the Band-Aid. Words will not repair behavior, but setting boundaries can protect your heart and your peace of mind. So please set them. Let's review. Choosing to believe someone will change when reality has already proven otherwise doesn't benefit anyone, especially you. Recognize the nonsense. Please stop believing words that are not accompanied by consistent actions. Let go of the expectation that this person will change. And finally, adjust the access that this person or people have to you, whether that's setting boundaries, distancing yourself, or withdrawing from the relationship entirely. And remember, just because something's difficult doesn't mean that you can't do it. I know that you can. It's going to take some self-discipline. That's okay. You got it. If this spoke to you, I'm curious, what is the "I'm sorry" that you received that never came with any sort of change? Or what's something that you finally decided, "I'm not tolerating this anymore"? I'd really like to know your own experiences. That's all for now. You can follow me on Instagram and TikTok at versionsofourselvespod. and I'll talk to you later.